Good morning, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Craig Poe. I'm the Director of Curator Success for Curate. And I wanted to take some time. We just had a really successful conference with Flourish last month, and I did this session, or at least a part of this session, at the conference and received some great feedback. So I wanted to make sure that I branch this out to all of our customers so that you guys can have that information as well. Part of my main job here is making sure that everybody on the software is successful. So a lot of that comes in the form of getting on screen shares similar to what I'm doing here with certain clients, and making sure that they're taking advantage of all the aspects of the software that they're paying for, and at least just making sure that they're aware that they are there. Many times through our chat, we get questions about certain features that that clients wish that we had, and in fact, we have had it for quite some time. They just weren't quite aware of it. So I wanted to take this time to go ahead and show you some of those commonly overlooked features that I see when I am on calls, or that we get a lot of requests about through chat. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll dive right into the app. And then at the end, I'm more than happy to go over any questions that you have. Feel free to put them right in the little chat bubble throughout the webinar here, and then I'll be sure to address as many of those as I can with the time remaining. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Perfect. All right. So what we have here is obviously a Curate account. So we're right here on the main event dashboard at the moment. And one thing right off the bat that we see commonly overlooked on this page is the ability to switch to a calendar view. So I already have that kind of pulled up here for us. And what the calendar view does, obviously, it displays all of your events that are going to be displaying on the different dates. Another great feature of this section is the ability to block out dates. So by engaging this little checkbox in the upper left-hand corner of each of the boxes there, what the system will do is it'll still allow you to book events over that date, but it'll throw a little warning for you when you try to create an event over that date, stating that you already have that blocked out. So if by chance this is your max number of events that you can do per day, 3, let's go ahead and engage that box. That way, when you try to book a 4th, it's going to throw that warning to you, so you can decide whether or not you want to actually accept that client or that business, or possibly refer it to another company. Also, a great feature here is that you can get a nice little snapshot of any lost versus booked versus inquiry events. So you'll notice the different colors across the different squares here. So the blue, this is going to be defaulted to your accent color within your system. So it could be green, could be peach, whatever you decided within your settings tab. This is a color that's going to display here. Black is going to indicate any lost events. So any of those inquiries that you sent out that unfortunately didn't pan out quite yet, they will still appear there for you, so you can kind of keep track of what could have been, so to speak. The grayed out ones are going to be obviously your templates here, just like they're grayed out on the list view. And then if you have any that are kind of in an open setting or kind of clear in the background, those are the ones that are still in that inquiry or proposal sent. So they haven't actually collected that deposit or signed the contract just quite yet. Another amazing feature of this is the ability to show all of your event tasks. So once I've clicked on that, it's pulling from each and every event that's live within the system. And down at the very bottom of your proposal, you may be familiar with the timeline feature. That's the ability for you to have both internal and external kind of a to-do list, so to speak. So for example, we need to go ahead and make sure that our arrangements are completed for these 2 events. These are clickable, so all I can do is just simply click on it, and it's going to take me right into the event where I need to actually make sure that those arrangements are completed. So that you can go double check on your recipe sheet, so on and so forth, and make sure that's printed out for the day. So it's a good kind of reminder for you to log into that area when you go into Curate in the morning, just to make sure all of your tasks are complete. The next ones that I want to go over is going to be within your settings. So right down here on the left-hand side, your main account settings, I want to talk about email templates. So this is something that I commonly see not utilized very well within the system. So email templates are located again within your settings. Click on templates up at the top. You do have the option to create as many email templates as you'd like just by simply clicking add template right here, or you can always delete or change out any templates as well. So I'll just click on here for a few examples. You can see templates for obviously when you're sending out a proposal, maybe an anniversary email, setting up a secondary consultation, anything like that. Really whatever you're communicating over to your client each and every time that you have an event with one, I would recommend doing a template. That way you're not having to start from scratch each and every time. You'll also notice down here that you do have the option to add in tokens to your template. So if you're not familiar with tokens, what that is basically an ability for you to data transfer information that's already living within Curate, whether it was collected on a form or simply typed in to the event properties within the hamburger menu. All of that information is living within Curate and can be used throughout the template as well as on your events also. So for example, here I have, hey, C1 first name. That's automatically going to pull my client one's first name. So most likely, your bride or whomever your contact is for this event. And then you also can even do kind of internal tokens as well, where it'll pull the event owner's name. So you can even have the signatures kind of already pre-populated in case you do have multiple users across your account. It'll automatically put in their information right there for you as well. And the tokens are just located right here. They're automatically going to generate one for each and every question that you have on your forms. Or you can always create custom properties as well, which I'll touch on in just a little bit for you. The next area of the software that we see kind of underutilized is going to be those forms that I was just referring to. So in a lot of accounts, I see maybe one form on there, but we really like to see, you're able to build out as many as you would like. So you could build one out for your weddings, one for your bat mitzvahs, one for your galas. You can build just a simple kind of short one, like a contact us, to have living on your website. That way you can check the dates, make sure that the customer's even kind of qualified for you before you ask them to fill out, a 20 question questionnaire or more on that. And then, like I just said, you could have a more detailed one. So how many bridesmaids are you going to have? What's your budget? Total guest count, number of tables you're projecting, so on and so forth. You can even have that automatically sent out to them through my next one that I wanted to talk about, which is workflows. So workflows we're back in our settings tab. Over on the far right-hand side is going to be workflows. So this is going to be all of your kind of automation, so to speak, within Curate. This is an area of the software that we're looking to really build out as well within the next quarter, because this has been heavily kind of requested as well. So right now, you can send out automatic payment reminders. You can automatically move the stage of the event as well from inquiry to proposal sent, to booked, based on certain different parameters that the client would meet on that. You also can send out automated emails based on your templates right from the form submissions. So as soon as your client hits submit on the contact us form that you have on your website, you could have them automatically send out a website, whether it be that we will get back to you within 24 hours once we've reviewed your submission, or you could even send them a link automatically to a new form, which is going to be more detailed, so that you can have them fill out that information prior to even getting into the consultation with them, so that you have a vision of what they're really looking for before you even meet with the client in person or talk to them on the phone. The next one, sorry, we're kind of living within the settings tab, so to speak here, but tags is going to be the next one. So tags, you also can see right on the main event dashboard. So that's what all of these little kind of sticky notes, so to speak, is what I like to call them. It's a way for you to be able to organize your events. So if you wanted to see all of the events, let's go ahead and just kind of examine all of our events, and we wanted to see all the ones that we're ready to pull the items for. I can just simply click on the pull items, and all the events that have those tags associated with them are going to show there for you, and it's going to omit the other events while you're kind of sorting through. you'll notice that they are totally customizable as well. So if you wanted to have one for each of your sales team members or your designers that may be working on certain events, you can go ahead and click all the ones that are associated with Craig, Holly, Shannon, whomever on that, so that you can just go ahead and filter exactly which events they're working on. And if you ever wanted to, kind of go back to the main, just simply click on the one that you had clicked before, and it'll go right back to that full list for you. Now, in order to add a tag to an actual event, you're going to hit the pencil icon on your main event dashboard, and it's going to be right down here at the bottom. If you simply click here, it's going to create a drop down of all of the tags that you have living within your account, so you can just simply click them. If you wanted to ever take tags off of an account, you can do it right here as well by clicking the X, or you can even do it even simpler by just simply clicking the X right here, and it's going to take that off for you. So that it makes it a little bit more streamlined there. This next one is something that at Flourish I got a great reception by showing it. I think it's a very commonly overlooked feature, and that's the show all feature within recipes. So I'm hoping that most of you are already aware of this, but if you aren't, I think this is going to really change and cut down some time for you when you're building out events, especially those recipes. Because as we know, most events are going to have the same suite of flowers, so to speak, across an event. So they'll have Dusty Millers, they'll have roses, they'll use the same type greenery across, the bridal bouquets, maybe the boutonnieres, maybe the centerpieces, so on and so forth. So what the show all feature does, I'm just going to click into a recipe, and it is located right here. Once I click on that, it's going to pull all the flowers that are living within the event already, whether it be on a different line item, what have you. And you'll notice that they kind of come up gray if they're not already utilized within a recipe. So let me just hop into a fresh recipe so you can kind of see the full effect of it. If you do show all right here, then it's going to pull all those flowers that are living within the event. So then you're not having to research for them. If you know that you're going to need Dusty Millers in this arrangement, you can just simply come here and select 4, 6, so on and so forth, until you build out that whole recipe. And you'll notice that the ones that I don't engage with are still staying with that gray in the background. So they're not going to be added onto your recipe, even though you have that show all feature on there. If you ever wanted to hide it, just simply hit hide all, and it goes right back to the ones that are only selected there. But I think that that's going to be a big time saver if it's not something that you're already using. So you're not having to search through your library each and every time that you're building out a recipe for an event. Kind of along those same lines of saving time, I'm not sure if any of you have ever had a client that is kind of wishy-washy, so to speak. So maybe they want a flower crown initially, you build out the recipe, all the inspiration image, so on and so forth, come to you 2 weeks later and say, I don't really want the flower crown. And then 2 weeks after that, they come back and say, yep, I definitely want the flower crown. And since then, you've already updated your proposal, you may have deleted off that item, and now you're stuck rebuilding on there, right? So one thing that I always encourage my clients to do, don't delete until you absolutely know that they don't want a certain item on there, especially if you've taken the time to put in all of your inspiration images and build out that recipe. What you can do instead, so that your client believes that you've deleted it off and it's not adding into their proposal or anything of that nature, is hit our little wrench icon right here. And that's going to bring up kind of the settings of that line item. You can change the state just over to draft. In draft mode, it's going to gray it out. You'll have the little eyeball icon with the slash through it. And now if we were to toggle over to our client's view, you'll notice that that no longer is visible to your client. It's also no longer adding into the total that they owe us or anything of that nature. So when they come to you 2 weeks later and say, oh, I really want that back, all you have to do is then click on it, go back into your wrench tool and make it live again. And it's going to appear right back on your proposal for your client to be able to see and also add back in there. And you're not having to rebuild everything from scratch. So again, a big time saver for you if you have kind of that client that's going back and forth, which I'm sure we all have on there. Another way to save a bunch of time is going to be by utilizing the products option. So you may have noticed when I was in my wrench icon that I have the option to save to products. So saving to products basically means that you will be saving that entire line item. So inspiration images, pricing, recipes, description, so on and so forth, to be able to be used at a future date. So what I typically recommend to our newer clients is to kind of build out shell recipes that you use often. So whether it be a recipe for a cascading bouquet, or for a high ball centerpiece, or for one with 3 votives or something of that nature, go ahead and build that out. Of course, each event is going to be a little bit different, and you'll have to tweak and adjust the recipes. But what you can do once they're saved is just simply hit the plus button, product, and it's going to pull up all of those saved recipes for you. So this is a big thing for both our florists and our caterers on the software. So if you ever wanted to save your menu items, so to speak, you can have that already built out and then just simply insert those in here as well by selecting. So let's just say, for example, the anemone boutonniere. We'll go ahead and hit add product, and it's going to pull in here already with those inspiration images, already with the recipe, already with the pricing. And let's just say that maybe the color scheme, they don't want white. Then you can just simply click into the recipe here, type in your anemone, and change the color for you. But you're not having to start from scratch on there. It's really important for like arches that may be a little bit larger with the recipe, so on and so forth. The next thing that I really want to talk about that I see not utilized too often is going to be the ability to add in vendors or third-party vendors to the event. So this is a great opportunity for you to communicate over to your client that you know exactly who you're going to be working with, whether it be bakers, photographers, event planners, ceremony locations, reception locations, anything like that. You can create a vendor profile for each of those. Now, the benefit for you, aside from communicating over to your client that you know exactly where you're going, is you do have the option. I'm just going to go back to our main event dashboard, and then we have the vendors tab right over here. So what that's going to do is it's going to have all of the profiles very similar to your customer list on here. And what you can do is, let's just click into Anderson Park, for example. You can see all of the events that Anderson Park has associated with you in Curate. So all of the ones that their profile is living on. So you can go back and see, where was my top producing event for the year? What was my least producing wedding planner, so to speak, and how can I get more of her business or his business? So it really gives you an opportunity to kind of round up future business, as well as track your past as well. We are looking at expanding out a report as well that'll be easily pull all of that for you here in the near future also. So be on the lookout for that. The next thing I wanted to go over was the private recipe notes. So believe it or not, for those of you that may be utilizing this, a lot of our customers may not be aware of it. So private notes right here is the ability for you to do just that. Put in any notes that only you want your team to know. So your client's never going to see these, never going to be live on their proposal or anything like that. So let's just say, for example, the bride wants really long stems or something of that nature. We can put that in there, go ahead and hit save. And then when we go to our recipe sheet, so we'll go into our little drop down over here, recipe sheet, it's going to pull right into here. Once I engage the notes section, all of our kind of private notes are going to be listed right underneath the different arrangements. Now, you may notice the little toggles up here at the top. You do have the option to obviously manipulate this however you would like, to show or not show different options, as well as the ability to assign the arrangements to different designers that may be on your team. So that's something that was heavily requested that we released out a few months ago, probably been 3 or 4 months ago now on it. But let's just say Ryan's going to be working on the bridal bouquet, and the bridesmaids bouquet, Ben's going to be working on, so on and so forth. You can have this engaged so that when you print it off, or if you're viewing it on a laptop or a tablet right at your stations, you know exactly who's working on what. And then they can just simply engage that it's completed, because you may not be producing the entire event all at the same day. So you can go back and see exactly what you've already put together arrangements-wise. The last thing that I want to go over before we kind of take the last few minutes for questions that you may have is the ability to also utilize the possibilities section. So you may have seen it when we were going over the draft talk, but back in my little wrench icon on the states, you do have the opportunity for possibilities. So when you click on that, you'll notice, oh, my bridal bouquet just disappeared. It didn't. It actually just moved down further on the proposal, just beneath the subtotal here, and it's created its own separate section called possibilities. So this is a great opportunity for you to be able to upsell your client and have it visible to them as well. So I'm going to toggle over to the client's view so they can see these possibilities right here. So you recommend if you have your bridal bouquet and you're pricing it at $250 on your actual proposal, build one out that's $300 or $350 and really build it up in the description as well as the inspiration photos, how it's different on that. We have a couple clients that I know utilize this very heavily, and they'll typically underbuild to the budget, the event on the initial proposal on purpose, and kind of let the client pick where they're going to engage and enhance their proposal in their event based on their budget parameters. And what they've shared with me is that typically clients will exceed their budget once they see all the different options. They'll fall in love with that, and you'll be able to generate out extra revenue per event just by utilizing this section and kind of letting them pick and choose what's going to be available to them. So that's the main things that I have for you right now. I'd love to open it up, obviously, to some questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that we can view some of those chats and that sort of thing. And then we'll be able to answer those. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and submit those now. Perfect. All right, so it looks like we have a question coming in here. All right, so I have a question. How do you track the source of your business within Curate? So that's a great question. I'll go ahead and kind of reshare my screen for you so that we can go over that. So sharing your source can actually be done right within the customer profile. So when you're building out that customer, I'm just going to click on Renee here for an example. You do have an opportunity for that customer source. So whether it's a referral from a past business or it's coming to you from The Knot or Wedding Wire or anything of that nature, you can input that in right there so that you can track exactly where those customers and clients came from. Good question, though. Perfect. And let's see. All right, so we've got another question coming in here. Perfect. All right, so they were asking about how do we add in those specific tasks that we were referring to earlier on the calendar view, and can we set a time to it? You definitely can. So let me just share my screen another time here so we can go down and view that. So if we go down to the bottom of the proposal beneath the contract, this is where that timeline that I was referring to lives. So you'll see that we do have the option of putting in specific times as well as dates. You'll notice, similar to that draft menu that we were going over earlier, you have these eyeball icons. Some are filled in, some are grayed out with a slash. So the ones that are filled in mean that they will actually show to your client. So the great part about this section is that it can be both internal and external. So your client's only seeing these 3 tasks, even though we have probably 8 or 9 right here as well. So all the ones with the grayed out are not visible to the client. And these will all show on your calendar view that we were talking about earlier. If you ever needed to change the date or the time, just simply click right into here and adjust the times there for you. That way, if you were setting up a strike time and you're only able to do it after midnight, for example, or something of that nature, you can have that put right on there and it'll order itself accordingly. Good question. Perfect. Looks like that's the only questions that I had right now. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up for you, get 5 minutes back into your day. But I want to thank you all for joining and for the questions that were submitted. If you have any more, please feel free to ask us via that chat feature. That's myself and my team. We monitor that. We're more than happy to assist. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you. Bye.